Hey, it's Brad Hutchings with Demo Machine. I'm going to do a behind the demo episode today. We're going to rebuild GPTDesktop Ubuntu. Why are we going to rebuild it? Because the PrivateGPT project on GitLab released 0.50 in the past couple of days, and we need to update it. So that's what we're going to do. What I do when I rebuild these things, I start with my factory VM. Actually, it's a starting point. It's available to you. I go to my list of build guides, core VMs that we're building, and we're going to rebuild GPTDesktop Ubuntu. This is based on Ubuntu Desktop 2310. So let's go ahead and start that process. And the first thing you'll notice here is I have a guide for this. And the guide walks me through what I'm going to do. So it has a couple of slides. Tells me what I'm building. Gives me a network architecture of what I'm building. This is a standalone Ubuntu desktop machine. And now we're into the guide portion. So we're going to create this VM. I have a little cover slide for this process. All right, let's start by, actually, I'm going to start by minimizing this window. Then we're going to launch Hyper-V Manager. I do work in Hyper-V Manager for building these things. Eventually, I really just want to work with guide and demos and build things. But for now, this is how I work. We're going to open the templates folder. And what I want you to see here is that there is a template called Ubuntu Desktop 2310. That's what we're supposed to notice here. I'll close this window. Next up, we're going to create the VM. I click this and it runs a PowerShell script to import the Ubuntu Desktop VM. And we're going to work on that and change that up and make it our GPT desktop. So this takes a moment. I will speed this up. I have a task here to start the GPT Desktop Ubuntu VM. I'm lazy. I have not coded this up so that it's automated. So I have to go here and start this myself. And I'll click this to indicate that I did it. Next, I'm supposed to customize this GPT Desktop VM. So we'll jump into this section. Okay, we install PrivateGPT software. That's what's important here. And this is what that architecture is going to look like. Let's launch PowerShell, SSH to Ubuntu Desktop. Set the host name. It's going to be called GPT Desktop. Let's install Git and pip3. We'll speed this process up too. Install pyenv. We'll set up pyenv. We'll install build dependencies. This will be sped up in post. Sometimes at the end of it, it asks us which services should be restarted. This time it didn't, so I'll just skip this step. We're going to reboot the server. And after counting to 10 in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'll SSH back to the server. All right, just so you guys believe me that actually rebooted. 0 minutes uptime. Let's install and activate Python 3.11. We'll speed this up in post as well. Let's install Poetry. Download PrivateGPT. Let's install some prerequisites. If you were building this yourself the first time, having downloaded PrivateGPT to your machine and get all the dependencies right, you'll probably spend 2 days making it work. Let's set the keyring. Install PrivateGPT with Poetry. This takes a moment, so I'm going to go into something here, which is we use our guide as a build guide. It automates, well, the person who's building, plus it can automate PowerShell, auto it. It can send keys to a console like it's doing here. That mixed automation is very, very important. When I worked as a lab developer for a leading firm, we had the mantra that everything had to be automated, that if the builder had to do any manual steps, that was a bug. Those had to be removed. And it turns out we spent a lot of effort doing that for things that really didn't take a lot of time over the lifetime of a lab or whatever else we were building. I've brought this mixed approach into building pieces because the mixed approach works better. It's more maintainable. It's certainly faster to get these things out and updated. Just a better system. Second thing is, my build system here has multiple levels. We start with, well, for Windows machines, we start with a desktop. On top of that, we build the container, which can have Hyper-V VMs embedded in it. On top of that, we build various versions of the container. One for Docker, one for GPT. We'll eventually have a Minikube one. I have the code for that. I just haven't formalized it in the build system. For this, we start with Ubuntu Desktop, and then on top of Ubuntu Desktop, I build PrivateGPT Ubuntu. Having a multi-tiered approach to building these, where we add a feature at each tier or a group of features at each tier, makes this much better architected, for one. Number two, it means that when a small feature changes, I don't have to rebuild the whole stack. I rebuild what's important to that change. Like, for instance, PrivateGPT came out with 0.50. This is the work I do to support that and then to get this out to my clients who are using my starting points. Hope that's helpful. We sped this up a little bit in post. Next, we set up PrivateGPT with Poetry. This is where the actual LLMs are downloaded, including Mistral 7B Instruct, which is about 4 gigs. We've sped this up in post as well. Here we expand the maximum output frames of the GPT, so it can do some interesting things. We've got the RAM dedicated to it, and we got the processors dedicated to it. We'll create a cron job to start PrivateGPT, so that when this VM, this starting point, starts up, PrivateGPT starts up automatically. And I will start PrivateGPT manually here so that we can test it. This takes a moment. All right, we're running. So I don't have in the guide right now how I test this, and I should put that in the guide to automate myself through this. But what I do is HTTP GPTDesktop 8001. I'm going to put it in chat mode, and I'm going to ask it to make up a story about 3 children's book characters from public domain works teaming up to teach belligerent, I don't think I spelled that right, teenagers electric bike safety. There's a problem in our community here. I'm going to see if we can have some characters figure this out for us. And this is real time. I'm not speeding this up. I want you to see how snappy this is. Came together with a noble mission to teach belligerent teenagers the importance of electric bike safety. So we got Winnie the Pooh, Tom Sawyer, and Amelia Bedelia. I don't know who Amelia Bedelia is. Okay, Winnie the Pooh is the team leader. Tom Sawyer brought his knack for adventure and creativity. Amelia Bedelia added her meticulous attention to detail. Amelia Bedelia would be good at building demo labs. I just want to note right here. Trio embarked on their mission in the heart of Storyville, where they found a group of teenagers gathered around an electric bike, revving its engine and performing dangerous stunts. Hello there, young friends. I see you have an electric bike. That's wonderful. But I want to share some important safety tips with you so that you can enjoy your bike without putting yourselves in harm's way, Pooh explained. How's my Winnie the Pooh voice? This is great. By the way, if you like this idea of reading these silly stories, I have an internet game show which is powered by Demo Machine, this very GPT. And it's called AIAIO. And if you're watching this video, just go to the channel and you can find right now 2 episodes of it. To me, it's hilarious. The belligerent teenagers, initially skeptical of the trio's intentions, began to listen intently to their words of wisdom. That's right, you can turn them around with wisdom. I wish that worked here. As the sun began to set over Storyville, the teenagers thanked Winnie the Pooh, Tom Sawyer, and Amelia Bedelia for their invaluable advice. They left the gathering with a newfound appreciation for electric bike safety and a promise to share their knowledge with their friends. I wonder how that conversation is going to go. Yeah, you have to be safe with your bike. Yeah, bike safety, very, very important. All right, here's the point. PrivateGPT works great. I'm running this in a VM, no GPU available. I give it 5 CPU equivalents in Hyper-V. I give it 15 gigs of RAM. It loves RAM, and it's pretty responsive, and it writes a pretty good story. All right, we got this installed. It works. Our next step is to export the template. So I'll jump into this section. This tells me the things it does to export the template. First off, let's shut down this VM. But this button doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is go back to, I'm going to go back to our shell here and power it off this way. And I'll exit this. I will close this window, and you can see that this is off. This is something I need to fix in this build guide. Yes, there are some things broken in the build guides. Yes, I need to fix this. Export as template. So first it's exporting locally, and then it's going to copy that local export to my network drive. The network drive is actually on my laptop, which is hosting this whole thing, so that I can build in a demo environment like factory and keep my laptop uncontaminated mostly. Now it's copying that. That's what's taking additional time here. I will speed this up in post. And let's go ahead and make the demo file. Basically what this does is compresses the exported template plus a manifest file, which tells the demos app how much RAM, CPUs, preferred screen size, those kinds of things. Whether it should roll back the demo when the remote window closes. Those kinds of things. This takes a while. I will speed this up. As you can see, this is going to take 12 minutes. And we made the demo file. So the last part of these build guides is a slide thanking me for doing the work, reminding me my hard work and dedication to quality are not unnoticed. I like to run through the finish line. That's what these are about in all of the build guides. I'd like to show you what we just made, which is in the starting points folder on my host computer's drive. We just made the GPTDesktop Ubuntu SP demo. It is about 16 gigabytes. Hope you enjoyed that look into building a demo. That's what we do here. You have a great day.